with Coach Donovan. Darnell, go ahead. Darnell, you're still muted.
Thanks, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. Billy, I know this season's all about player development and evaluation, but I'm curious to know what went into the decision to start Patrick on Giannis, and how do you think he did? What would you like for him to take away from this?
Well, it was his first time playing against a lot of these guys, and he'll learn from it. I actually thought he did a pretty good job. He hung in there pretty well. And listen, their length and their size, we really felt like we needed to try to jam the lane up a little bit, try to keep the ball out of the paint, certainly try to take away his driving angles to the rim. Tall order to do. We gave up a lot of threes because of that. But I thought, out there matchup wise, just thought it would be a good experience for Patrick, a good matchup for him. And, liked the idea of Wendell playing against Lopez. So that was probably the main thing. We just thought that Patrick's got to evolve into and be that kind of, two-way player for us. And the only way he's going to gain those experiences is kind of being thrusted into them immediately.
And what's his demeanor like against matchups like that? He's going against two-time MVP and superstar players. What's his demeanor like?
I mean, he doesn't change. I mean, he's pretty much, he doesn't really show too much. He listens, he studies, he tries to, take in what we're doing game plan wise and what his job and responsibilities are. I'm sure internally inside of himself, he's probably saying like, wow, like last year, I was, playing in college. The year before that, I was in high school. So listen, it's a lot for a young player to handle, for him to, to start and then night in and night out, and the fatigue of playing all these games in a short period of time. I mean, it's probably a lot for him, but he's got to kind of get thrown to it, and he's got to learn it. He's experienced it, but his attitude and his disposition, whatever you put in front of him, is always the same.
Thank you,
Casey.
Yeah, Billy, you've been hammering the turnovers obviously early on here, and that's a good defensive team you're facing. But what was the main issue in that department for you tonight? Did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I thought defensively, I know we gave up threes. You got to kind of pick your poison. They've got unbelievable length. They've got unbelievable size. And they're a team that really, I think, tries to ISO a lot of mismatches just based on size and talent. And you get caught having to kind of come in and provide a lot of help, because it's hard on a lot of them just to play them head up one-on-one. I thought we actually did a good job in a lot of respects in that area. The problem for us is what you mentioned. It was the offense. We played against a very, very good defensive team, and we didn't have any level of stamina or endurance to constantly cut and move and screen. And I thought their physicality knocked us off cuts. I thought their physicality had us cutting in different directions, and we needed to play through the physicality instead of playing away from it. And I think we got careless with the ball, and they made it hard. And we've got to be willing to make, we got to be willing to really put in the effort and the energy to run around and create shots through screening and movement for each other. And I thought we got very stagnant. I thought we got very, very one-dimensional. And I thought we became very easy to guard. And I thought it played into their hands and really put our defense for the large majority of the night, back on its heels. I think Darnell maybe asked before the game, what's further along, offense or defense? And I said, they're inconsistent, and that's a perfect example. We played an incredibly well-played ball movement last game against Washington, and we did not have that today. And we could have had that today, but we're going to have to fight through some of the physicality more so than we did today. And I thought that was a part where I thought we maybe took a step back in that area.
Thanks.
Yep.
Jamal.
Oh, there it is. So yeah, Billy, I'm trying to, I guess I'm kind of playing out that same answer you just said about just sort of the inconsistencies. How much do you feel like you guys as a team are still kind of searching almost for like an identity so far? I think I've heard you kind of mention that and mention just stuff that guys can sort of hang their head on every single night. Is that something that you kind of I think you guys are still feeling out here early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair point. I think the feeling is, I would hope that if you asked our guys what our identity is and how do we want to play, that they would be able to articulate how we want to play and what our identity is. Now, articulating it and playing to it are two different things. You know, we've got to have the stamina and the understanding that for us to be at our best, we've all got to be on the same page in terms of doing the things that we need to do from an identity standpoint, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. And in order to do that, we've got to play to that. And when we break away from that, you know, we're not nearly as good of a team. Now, give Milwaukee credit. They probably contributed to us, you know, kind of fracturing in that area and not doing it well enough. But we've got to have the endurance and the stamina to do it. And this is a really good team, and a team that's won a lot of games, and a team that's made deep playoff runs. We needed this personally tonight, in my opinion. Like, I'm hopeful that this game made us better, because we went against a team that shoots a lot of threes, that creates a lot of one-on-one mismatches. You have to help a lot as a team. You got to do it together on the defensive end of the floor, and then you got to do it together on the offensive end of the floor. And we didn't do those things well enough. I did think we gave really good effort tonight. I thought, you know, the third quarter, we tried to make a little bit of a close. I know it was 21 at the end of the third. We got it down to 9, I think, in maybe the second quarter, and we just couldn't sustain anything. And I thought we did hit a wall at the end of the third quarter to start the fourth. And you're going to have that with, you know, a hard-fought game the night before and a back-to-back. But you got to be able to execute in those situations better than we did. And hopefully this is a game that we can really look at and learn from.
Rob, you're up.
Hey, Billy. Just want to ask, you've touched on the offensive results tonight, team wide. How do you evaluate Kobe White's night in the context of that, in the context of his role that he's grown into as the point guard?
Yeah, I think it was a learning experience for him tonight. You know, I've always, you know, said this, you know, about Kobe. I'm not really worried about, you know, his shooting. He didn't shoot the ball very well. And I think if you look at, you know, his season, you know, thus far, he's been, and I'm going even back to preseason, he's been very inconsistent shooting the ball. He's had games where he's shot extremely well, and he's had games like he had today where he doesn't shoot it well. The one thing I want him to see is, and it's not even about taking away his identity or who he is as a player, because I want him to be who he is as a player, and I want him to be aggressive. But he's also the catalyst and running our team. And when you're running the team, he's got to really, I think, take great pride in helping us, you know, with the ball in his hands, play to that identity. You know, same thing with Zach. They've got to help us play to that identity. So, you know, generally, when you're not, it's like when Wendell catches the basketball, you know, at the top of the key, he has responsibility to play that to that identity, you know, and you want guys around him playing to that identity to help him. And we've all got to be willing to help each other. So, I mean, to your point, he didn't shoot the ball very well. He and Zach, I think, had 9 turnovers collectively together, but they're the ones that have got to really be the driving force behind the identity at which we need to play. And we did not play, you know, to that identity. And it's 5 guys on the court doing it together. But also, I think a big part of that is the guys that have the ball in their hands, and as they start to make decisions and get the ball up the floor quickly and get us into things, you know, we've got to be able to do that and sustain that for a period of time. And I thought collectively we were really unable to do that. And, you know, again, guys are going to miss and make shots during the course of games, the course of the season. It's just the reality of it. But I think I mentioned it earlier. We got to play to an identity, and we didn't play that way at all, and that was the disappointing part of it.
Thank you.
We have one more from Sam Smith.
Billy, other than what your team did, which was a greater factor, playing against the reigning MVP, the team had the best record in the league the last couple of years, or third and 4 nights, back-to-back, 4 players missing, all those factors you talked about before the game?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Sam. And the reason I say that is there are a lot of factors. You know, there's 4 guys being out. There's a back-to-back. It's having a COVID test, finding out, you know, the other night that we had these guys out, not really knowing, having to prepare, having to have a different date. Like, I just think that that's kind of the world we're living in right now. And you know, for me, I've just tried to, I'm sure it was a factor. I would be, wouldn't be being fair if I didn't think it was a factor, but those things are what they are. And every team in the league's dealing with back-to-backs. Every team's going to have to deal with some of the things that we've dealt with. So I'm trying to look at, okay, here's a group of guys that went out there and played today. And whether you want to say we're undermanned or not, we can still, do things, I think, at a what I would consider a very high level. And I would say these guys, we need to do things at a championship level. That to me tonight was not at a championship level. Not from the standpoint that we lost the game, more from the standpoint of how we need to play. And we have got to build up the endurance and the stamina and the discipline to be able to do that. Now, I did think that, as they were throwing punches at us and we were kind of going back and forth and the game was still in the balance, maybe midway through that second quarter before they broke away and closed the half out, I thought our guys really battled and competed. And I saw some things early in the year where that happened and we didn't compete, we stopped. So that was encouraging. Now the part is, can you compete and execute? And, maybe to your point, some of the stuff that we've had to deal with over the last 3 or 4 days, could have contributed to that. But I think that the group would agree that we all could do a better job, coaches included too, in terms of, helping the guys.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
All good.